Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at a game that but my friend had in this T54, which is the Russian Tier 9 medium tank. Now, the T54 is perhaps the most overpowered tank in the game. It has really good armor, really good mobility, and a decent gun. I try not to spam heat out of this tank. The tank has very average penetration at 201, and your penetration could be as low as perhaps 150, if you get unlucky. So, spamming heat in this tank is very real. Like, I mean, if you come across a T54, 90% of the time, you should assume that he's going to be firing heat rounds, just because the tank doesn't really get really good penetration. And so, it's kind of like the tank has almost everything but the gun, and running this tank on purely heat is just not viable. Like, you probably lose in excess of, let's say, 30 to 40,000 credits, even with running premium account. Even if you make most of your shots count, you're still gonna lose credits in the game. But in this game, we'll see Warrior play one of the really good T54 games, in which you'll see like how to work the armor, when and where should you engage certain tanks, and whether when to use heat, when to not use heat, all that other fun stuff. So let's just get to it. Now, the highway map in itself is very peculiar. Most of the mediums generally go towards the field, but in this case, since Warrior saw them, a lot of the heavy tanks were moving towards the field, he felt compelled to go into the city and do something about the heavy tanks on the enemy team. Now, over here we see an enemy tank poking out. Warrior sort of like estimates where the tank will be and fires blindly through the fence to pen him for a decent roll. Now he's side scripting, waiting for him to sort of like come out and see if he can re-engage the target. But it seems like the enemy tank has grown wise to his ways and is not looking forward to coming out and taking another shot, so he's just gonna stay where he is. Now, seeing how the game is developing, like Warrior wants to see if there's anybody around the corner. He side scripts the corner again, making sure that to give his armor the maximum chance to sort of like bounce anything. Now he spots the enemy tanks to the left. He moves forward just in time for the T54 to miss, and he backs off and starts side scripting the corner again, wanting to see whether he could actually hurt the T34. T34 repairs his tracks and backs off into cover behind him, and not wanting to trade shots with the T54. It's better because T54 can easily fire 2 or 3 shots for every 1 shot the T34 fires, so you shouldn't be like trading shots or trading blows with the T54 at such a close distance. The Warrior sees one of the enemy's tanks has penetrated behind our lines and has taken out one of the tanks. Now over here, he waits for the tank to move forward and puts a shot into the enemy tank. Now he's tracked, and it seems like the enemy tank doesn't have a repair kit, so that would mean an easy kill for his team. Now over here, he decides to go towards the outside and sort of like come back in to the enemies, or sort of like flank the enemies that were in the city. First of all, he starts with the Tiger 2. Tiger 2 kind of like knows he's almost dead, so instead of backing off, he moves forward. He fires 1 shot but gets taken out by their team. Now he's gonna start moving from here inwards. He sees the enemy IS-6, fires but misses him completely. Now Warrior is aiming for a track shot, which actually does track the IS-6 but doesn't do any damage. Now if the Warrior goes back, and in doing so sort of like loses where the IS-6's track is, though he still manages to track him but doesn't do any damage. The Ice 8 moves in front of Warrior. He manages to bounce Warrior's shot, but not before he gets taken out by the IS-6. Not really good play as far as the IS-8 is concerned. All he had to do was, you know, face the IS-6 frontally, and it's nearly impossible for the IS-6 to pen him. Now they go back for the T54 that was left, and the 704 managed to take him out relatively easily. Now over here, he decides to sort of like go into the enemy base, but then you know, their cap triggers, and this makes him come back to their own base. Over here we spot a Lurve. I don't know what he's doing, but it was an easy kill for a T54 who sees him from the side. And now he's gonna start moving back, hoping to reset the cap, or if one of his teammates can do it, that would be good as well. One of our tanks actually does reset the cap, and this allows Warrior to make back to sort of like come back in time and actually help his team sort of like get some more resets done. Now there is not that much time left on the team, but good resets make short work of the enemy team. Now at first, you know, Warrior is trying to close the distance, just because at this range he's probably not going to get a lot of damage done, or even resets, just because there's actual cover within their base. Now Warrior just misses the side of one of the enemy tanks, who runs to hide from him by using the water tower's base. Now he knows there was an enemy tank on the right hand side who was firing, and he takes him out relatively quickly. Now there's two tanks. One of them is just fired. Warrior repairs his tracks and decides to go reset the cap by firing into the 113. Oh, sorry, not the 113. Sorry, the VZ111. I don't know what the VZ is doing. The VZ has a tier 7 gun, and most tier 7 guns will struggle to pen a T54 frontally. It's not something that you want to do. You want to, instead of what he was doing, trying to go back like outside the cap, he should have just went around the other corner and tried to see whether, you know, Warrior would follow him and let the other VZ111 on his team and sort of like help him. But he rushes the T54, and in a straight out, you know, brawl, the T54 is always going to win. It has one of the highest DPMs in the game, and you know, he secures another kill relatively easily. The VZs, you know, I mean, tier 7 guns just struggle to pen the T54. Even some tier 8 guns will struggle to pen the T54. Because it's pretty well armored. It's actually well armored than most of the Russian tier 9 medium, tier 10 mediums. Frontally, it has really good armor. So I mean, I think the VZs could have like played that a little better, but you know, whatever. I'm on his side, not the enemy side. But you know, just in case, T54's upper plate effective is more than 200 millimeters. So an IS gun is gonna struggle penning it, and its turret is 200 millimeters, and it's a giant circle, so not something that you can pen relatively easily. Now he's out arty hunting. They will eventually spot the arty, who's sitting somewhere in the north of the map, and hopefully you guys enjoyed these videos. If you have a replay that you want me to feature on this channel, feel free to send it in. I'll post an email link in the description, so in case you have a really good game, you got an Ace Tanker and one of your tanks, or really played really well holding off a lot of enemy tanks, feel free to send it in. I have a couple of replays that I will cast relatively soon, so hopefully I'll see you in the next episode of Playing World of Tanks.